श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरिः ओम। गणानां त्वा गणपतिगुं हवामहे कविं कवीनामुपमश्रवस्तमं ज्येष्ठराजं ब्रह्मणां ब्रह्मणस्पत आनशृण्वन् सादनं श्रीमहागणाधिपतये नमः। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। आत्मस्वरूप बंधुगण, so I welcome you all for this 10-day retreat. So I welcome you all for this 10-day study session. They call it retreat also, which is very appropriate name because we withdraw from the worldly affairs and the humdrum of the worldly life. We withdraw from all that, the monotonous worldly life, the same pursuits of attachments and aversions. That is how we live a life. The details change, but the fundamentals remain the same. Fundamentals of attachment and aversion remain the same. And so we withdraw from all that and strive to spend time with ourselves, trying to be what we are, and try to spend time in contemplation and all that. That's why it is called a retreat, very appropriately named a retreat. And I prefer to call it a study session, so that it gives an opportunity to study the vision of Vedanta, which is nothing but a study of life, a study of the human existence, including the study of human predicament. Therefore, it's a very important study. Generally, in universities and colleges, we study the world, the things of the world. So various branches of science, they try to understand the details of the world, and we study all that, which is important. And we acquire a few skills, like a physician has the skill of treating the illnesses. An engineer has a different kind of skill. A finance guy has altogether a different kind of skill. An accountant has a different skill. An attorney has a different kind of skill. He helps people to fight with each other. So all these skills are there in the world, and we acquire these skills in the university and try to make a living. All that is necessary. I'm not saying all that is unnecessary, but that doesn't take the life anywhere, and we remain away from the truth of human existence. So except for making a living, these skills have no higher use. And therefore, this session helps us to study something about ourselves. You should not misunderstand it as a study of religion, as some kind of a religious study. It is not. It is not the study of worshipping God and all that. That is Adhidaiva Vidya. Adhibhuta Vidya is the science and engineering and other subjects of the world. Adhidaiva Vidya means you study the rituals and the know-how of performing the rituals, and then various mental worships of gods and goddesses. That is a different study altogether. It is called Adhidaiva Vidya. Like if you come across Veda Pathashala, a school of Vedic studies, there they may be studying all such things. Whereas that leaves just one more Vidya. So Adhibhuta is the science and technology and other subjects of the worldly existence. Adhidaiva is the study of the worship of God in various ways, rituals as well as mental worships. And that leaves only one subject, that is Adhyatma Vidya. The one who has to live in this world is myself. And the one who has to worship the gods and goddesses is also myself. And without knowing about myself, I try to know everything else. So I have yet to know myself. And therefore this Vidya is called Adhyatma Vidya, a study of oneself. So how do you study yourself? You study yourself by looking at a book. Of course, books help. The Maharshis, the saints and sages who have studied the self, their recordings, their sayings are all chronicled in the form of Upanishads and other texts. Like Shankara's Upadesha Sahasri is one such text. Therefore, these books are helpful. They do help us. But really speaking, you study yourself by looking at yourself, by investigating yourself. That is the real study. Like for example, here is the body. And so what is the body? What is myself? And what is the equation or connection or relation between myself and the body? Are we one and the same? When we say the body and when I say myself, are they one and the same? Am I the body only, mere body alone? Or am I something more than a body? And then comes the mind. So, am I what my mind is? Means my being. And mind is thinking. My being and my thinking, are they just one and the same? Or is there some difference between my being and my thinking? So this has to be studied. And therefore this is the Adhyatma Vidya. So we do take the help of books, but we should not forget, as it happens more often than not, that we are studying our own self. That is what we are studying. That is what we are striving to study. Of course, we can always take the help of the books. The books are like the finger pointing out the moon. The mother points out the moon to the child. And the child has to see the moon. And the child has to know the moon and enjoy the moon. But if the child is entirely focused on the finger of the mother, then he will miss the moon. That's how it happens quite often. The people, they are totally focused on the finger. That means the books and what is printed in the books. They are so totally focused on the books. So they remain bahirmukha, outward looking, because the book is outside. Book is outside. And what book says is inside. What book says about, that is the self, that is inside. But they are so totally focused on the outside, and so they miss the real thing. So they may end up knowing all that is said about Atma by various scholars, the differences in what all they said, the different viewpoints, the different schools of thought, the comparison between them and the contrast between them, all of that they know. In fact, they can be very great scholars in all that, able to give elaborate lectures about all that, but fail to know what is the real self, what is within. It can happen like that. Therefore, we should be wary about it. I mean, we should be cautious about it. Therefore, though we call it a study session, which it is, and though we take the help of the books, which we should, yet it is a study of oneself. And so this is what we call Atma Vichara, self-inquiry. And this is not like the study of any other subject matter. Like suppose mathematics. Then a teacher who is expert in mathematics, he teaches the topic using a blackboard and writing on it and all that. And he imparts the knowledge to the students. The students learn from the teacher. Whereas here, it is not to be learnt that way. That way it can be learnt in a given situation. The situation is, all that is to be known about the self is already formulated and it is well established. And here is a gentleman called the teacher who knows all about it. And we, the students, don't know yet. Therefore, we sit in the class and he expounds and we learn. We listen to what he says and we learn all that. That way it works quite well. It works in all these subjects, mathematics, physics, etc. It works. But in the case of Atma Jnanam, the self-knowledge, it doesn't work like that. Because it is not like something is entirely worked out and kept like a formula. It is not like imparting the knowledge of a formula by one scholarly person to other student. It is not like that. The situation is a lot more complex than that. So, the preceptor can play a very limited role. Exactly the role of pointing the finger. Pointing the reality with the finger. Like the mother has to show the moon to the child. The mother cannot do much except pointing the moon with her finger. And now the child has to see, has to put the head in that direction, lift the head and look upwards in the direction pointed out by the finger and see the moon. And then it is the responsibility of the child to see the moon. The mother cannot see the moon on behalf of the child. The child has to see the moon for itself. This is how the Atma Vidya works. You have to know yourself. And therefore here, even the word Guru Sishya, though it is used traditionally, I am not particularly against the usage of certain terms. We can use it, nothing wrong in it. But it is not like a Guru Sishya in a different context. Like the rituals situation is there. Their Guru Sishya situation is different from what we are going to have here. There it is like a mathematics teacher and his students. Everything is already worked out. Even the Upasana is more or less works out similarly, mostly. But in Atma Vidya, the speaker, though you may want to call the speaker a guru, I am not against the word guru, and the translation for the guru is preceptor. So you want to call the teacher, the person a preceptor. I do not mind it, but I prefer to call myself as the speaker. And I will speak, you will listen. Sometimes you too will speak. You have the opportunity to speak in a meditation, in a satsanga session and all that. And therefore, the speaker has only a very limited role to play. The role of the finger pointing the moon. That is the role of the speaker. Therefore, you pay attention on the subject matter which is being presented by the book, presented in the book. Well, the subject matter is yourself, therefore pay attention to yourself and try to understand yourself in the light of what is being printed in the paper and what is being pointed out by the speaker. So don't bother too much about doing namaskar to the speaker and all that. They are not very important. Because the context is slightly different from that kind of context. Therefore, make elaborate pujas of the speaker's feet and all that. And then go on reciting verses about the speaker's glory. They are all made up verses. Like Bindunada Kalatitam Sadgurum Pranamamyaham. What do you mean by Bindunada? I don't know whether I am Bindunada Kalatita. I don't know what I don't know what is Bindu, I don't know what is Kala, and I don't know what is Nada. And I am supposed to be transcending Bindu, Nada and Kala. I don't know what they are. I hope the person who recites the verse knows it, and I want to know from him. But he too doesn't know. So just go on reciting some made-up verses, all the time the same things again and again, like a worn-out gramophone record of the yesteryears. It is not going to make much help, not give much help. Therefore, don't divert your attention on these extraneous things. You focus on the reality of yourself. It is a very big thing, because your true self, not yourself, but your self is the only reality, is the only truth. It's a very big thing. Therefore, focus on that. The text Upadesha Sahasri. Last year, I am just continuing the same text. Last year I have done Upadesha Sahasri. 2 sections I have done. The preliminary section, and then the second Vishesha Nishetha Prakaranam, something like that. There was a second section. In the poetry part, in the verse part, those 2 I have done. Then comes Ishwaratma Prakaranam, Visheshapoha Prakaranam. Like that a few sections are coming, and immediately comes what is called Mati Vilapana Prakaranam in the text. Mati Vilapana Prakaranam. Vilapana is merger, Mati is mind. Therefore, I casually said a few years back, mind merger. Strictly speaking, I should have said merger of the mind. But some kind of English samasa we have done, Shashti Tatpurusha. Like Mati Vilapanam is Matehe Vilapanam, Shashti Tatpurusha. So English we have done, Shashti Tatpurusha, mind merger. The idea is mind's merger. That is what it is, mind merger. And the expression stuck. It became popular. And so many people, they told me that it is a very beautiful section, very useful section, because it provides us an opportunity to look at the mind, your mind. I say your mind, you don't say my mind. You say mind only. Don't identify with the mind. Just say mind. I may say your mind because I need to convey, I need to talk with you. So if I say mind, you all will think that I am talking about my mind. That's why I say your mind, okay? So give me that freedom to say your mind. But from your side, you don't say my mind. You simply say mind. Don't say my body. You should not. Say body. Why should you say my? It is there in its place whether you say my or not. Therefore, don't say my. Saying my has its own issues. So with mind and body, don't say my. That is abhimana, means identification. So, you see, you are in a Vedanta class, all right? So you are not in any Purana session, right? So in Vedanta class only such things will be discussed. Some of you may be very new, that's why I am telling you. So, the mind and its merger. Where does it merge? Where would it merge? So naturally it has to merge in its source, where from it is originating, there itself it has to merge. It cannot jump out and merge elsewhere, There must be the source within you. And probably you are that source, and therefore the mind has to merge in you. So all these things we will have to discuss in the class tomorrow. And so what I have done, I have studied that part the 3-4 prakaranas which are there, the first two sections are completed. Each thing is a unit in itself. Therefore, you may not worry that you are missing something from last year. You can start following newly from this year also. So rest assured on that count. And those who have attended last year, they can rest assured that it is continuing. They to have that advantage because it is a continuation of that. So if you look at the text, what you will find is there are some 5-6 verses kind of sections, 3-4, and then comes Mati Vilapanam. And so I was studying all that, so it occurred to me that Shankara is making a case first and then he brings in Mati Vilapanam. That is how it occurred to me when I examined the verses cautiously. So it occurred to me that he is building a case, building the ground, preparing the ground for Mati Vilapanam. That is how he is preparing the ground. He has Mati Vilapanam as the primary topic in his mind, and therefore in preparation for that he is saying all these things. That is how it occurred to me. And therefore what I have done, this Mati Vilapanam is, I made it into the topic. Primary topic is Mati Vilapanam, the mind merger, with 6 verses. But then I don't want to give up the verses that were there earlier, made into 3 or 4 bunches, each bunch having 5 or 6 or 7 verses. So I picked up those verses and reorganized them and connected them to the Mati Vilapanam verses. Like you can see the first verse. In that verse there is an expression, Vishesha Sarva Vishesha Hanataha. That is explained in 3 verses in the earlier part. Therefore those 3 verses I have put as a corollary to that main verse, more as an explanation or elaboration of that expression Sarva Vishesha Hanataha. You can see that. So number 1 verse, Sarva Vishesha Hanataha is pulled out, and 3 more verses are given. They are the elaboration of that expression Sarva Vishesha Hanataha. And then Vimuchya, that is also there in the first verse itself. Vimuchya, that finishes the first verse. Then come to second verse. It begins as Vimuchya, giving up. So what to give up and how to give up, that is an important unit. And therefore Vimuchya, we made it as a small corollary topic and gave a few verses on Vimuchya. And then in the third verse there is a word Kevalaha. That Kevalaha is elaborated in 2 more verses. Then fourth verse Asangataha. A very important aspect of Vedantic wisdom is the Asangata. Asangata is the quality. Asangataha is the word in the verse. And so that Asangataha is expounded or elaborated in 3 verses, or even 4, 5, 6, 7 verses. And then finally comes a kind of Phalashruti like verses, 2 of them, 5 and 6. There is nothing, not much left to elaborate. So that becomes a topic. You see, in taking these retreats, so now the time is over, I'll finish soon. In taking these retreats, I always face a dilemma. So for 10 days, I have to measure the verses and put there. How can I measure like that? As I teach, sometimes the material given may fall short. Then I will supplement it. So quite often, the material given may not be finished in 10 days. It is possible in the given period. Then what I have to do is, I have to give the rest for homework. Do it at home, study at home. I have to do some such thing. Otherwise, how can I measure exactly 27 and a half verses I can do in 10 days? How can I measure like that? Therefore, just an approximate assessment I make and prepare some material and give to you. So let us hope this will carry us through 10 days. But if it falls short, rest assured that I will supplement further from the next part of Upadesha Sahasri.